I'm Michelle, and we're going to talk about how I and you can use mindfulness, compassion, and connection to find your inner calm and a little more sanity in your parenting. Hi, I'm Michelle, and I help parents who want to parent peacefully, to foster strong relationships with their children, and at times find it really hard. When my kids were small, I found myself so overwhelmed and burnt out that not only did I struggle with responding peacefully or playfully, I got caught in an awful yelling pattern, followed by overwhelming shame because yelling was the last thing that I wanted to do. So, now let's talk about how I and you can use the science of mindfulness and self compassion to find your inner calm and a little more sanity in your parenting. Today's topic: how to stop arguing over homework and maybe even laugh together. What is that possible? I don't know. Yes, it is. So, we're going to start with parenting from the inside out, as Daniel Siegel would say. That means we start with us. What's happening with us when we sit down to try to help our kids with homework? So, first off, talk it through with someone: a parenting coach, a therapist, a friend, or a listening partner. If you haven't heard of that, go to Hand in Hand Parenting, or journal. And I'll give you some suggestions of things that you could talk through or journal about. So, when you think about sitting it down with your kiddo for homework, what is difficult or triggering for you? Just write it all out. I hate doing homework with my kids because they won't sit still. They don't want to do it. It's too difficult for them. Just write and write and write and write and write. And look for themes. Look for, what is most triggering? What's the most sticky for you? What is the biggest hook for you when it comes to homework? And then think about, what are my fears? What are your fears if the homework doesn't get done? What are your fears related to your kiddo's education in general? What are your fears related to your kiddo's education in this school year? What comes up for you when you think about, oh my goodness, if this doesn't happen, what are you afraid might happen as a result? And then again, write it out. Write out all those fears. Because the thing is, sometimes we have fears that are coming up in the background that are fueling our reactive behavior in the situation. Like maybe as parents, we get more rigid and we're like, sit down, it's time to do our homework. No, we're done with that. Come on, get to it. That kind of thing is very reasonable and normal. Like stress is heightened and we are trying to kind of gain control over the situation. However, generally, not always, but the more rigid or harsh we become, the more likely our kiddo is to spiral into like more chaotic behavior or falling on the floor, flopping around like a fish, or maybe they just shut down because they're a little bit scared or they feel bad about themselves or whatever. So generally speaking, when we tick up our harshness and our rigidity and our, demanding, our kiddo probably doesn't respond well to that. And we all see that. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I know it doesn't work, but I keep doing it because I don't know what else to do. And I'm frustrated and, oh, right. So the intention behind thinking about what's happening for me is, why is it that I start to get rigid or harsh or whatever it is? Like maybe you just get up and walk away. Maybe you're like, I'm done with this. So first you should maybe write out, what do I do when my kiddo starts to have a hard time? What does their hard time look like? And how do I respond when it doesn't go well? You could also write out, what do I do when it does go well? Like the last time homework went well, what did I do differently? If you don't remember a time, I'm going to give you some ideas. So now think about what's happening for your kiddo. So I have some kiddos, well, especially one kiddo with, learning disabilities. So homework is extra challenging. And even if you don't have a kiddo with learning disabilities, it can still be frustrating, right? There could be lots of different things that's happening for your kiddo. But ask yourself, What do you think is happening for my kiddo when they have to sit down at homework? Is it because they've been sitting all day and they have to sit again? Is it because they don't feel good about themselves as a learner? Maybe they think they're terrible at math. Maybe they think they're stupid. Um, Maybe they just hate sitting still. Maybe they really want to go doing something else. So just think about what's happening for them, and then can you put yourself in their shoes? I mean, we can all like just imagine something that you hate doing. Maybe it's the thing at your job. Even if you like your job, what's the thing you hate the most? Oh, God, I have to do blah. I mean, we as adults have stuff too. Like, I hate cooking. I don't particularly love doing the dishes. I don't really love cleaning up my house. I don't like writing notes. Like, there's a lot of things that I don't like to do. So imagine, okay, my kiddo, and let yourself feel that, like, oh, I hate that thing that I have to do. And now, okay, that's how my kiddo is feeling. Now, this is where it gets tricky because if we respond to ourselves by like, getting out the whipping stick and like, all right, I just got to buck up and do it. I got to suck it up. We might then sort of like put that on our kid. You got to suck it up. I got to suck up so much stuff all the time. Now you got to suck it up, which probably isn't really working great for us and probably won't work great for them either. But that's another thing to like keep an eye out for. How do I respond to myself around stuff I don't want to do? Is it working for me? Is that what I'm trying to like put on my kid? So now, how to make homework less painful. Take breaks, have a break before starting, have a snack, get a stress ball, and some really fun ones, which actually I haven't tried, but I'm going to try because I was thinking of them as I was writing this. So they're doing their homework and they're like, just starting to kind of like melt down or get, stuck, and you just find yourself. First off, maybe you need to take a break, depending on how stressed out you are. Maybe you need to do the rage break. Or if you're not super stressed, maybe you just need to like go outside and walk for 5 minutes or whatever. You might need a break too, and that's okay. If you don't need a break, you're kind of like, I'm okay, but they're really struggling. Awesome. Now, take a plain piece of paper and write on there, I hate homework. And then ball it up and throw it. And then maybe you get 5 or 10 pieces of paper and they scribble on there, I hate homework. And then they ball it up and throw it. And maybe you start throwing it at each other and you have like a paper snowball fight in the house. This is releasing some of the tension and agitation and the energy that's all like locked up that's causing them to whatever it is, shut down, flop around, be sort of like talking back, whatever it is that they're doing. This is going to help release that tension and shift into a more playful state, which, if you think about what does the brain need to learn, it needs to be in a more open, playful, maybe not playful, but like a more open place than a shut down, rigid, stuck place, right? So if the goal of homework is to learn, they're probably not learning right at that moment. So throwing the paper balls around will help them shift out of that. And then once they've kind of shaken that out, maybe you do that for, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. Say, all right, let's come back to it. Another thing you could do, which I also haven't tried, but I'm going to do this, is again, plain piece of paper. I hate homework. And then you ball it up and get it wet and take it outside and throw it against the wall. And how like satisfying would it be to like see that splatter on the wall? Because the thing is, it's reasonable for our kids to hate homework. It's reasonable that they don't want to do it, just like we don't want to do our stuff. They can't really ball up their homework and throw it. They can't do that at school. They can't, but you're giving them a place to like get those feelings out in a way that's not hurting anything. It's not hurting them. It's playful, it's silly. And then, all right, you ready to go back to your homework? Okay, yeah, let's do it. Let's go back. So you can put limits around it and then return to the homework. The goal is to ease the tension for yourself and your kiddo and between the two of you to help make homework more bearable. And this week's play idea is a staring contest, which that would be another thing you could do during, like, okay, let's take a break. And you say, let's do a staring contest. And then you just do a staring contest, stare at each other, see who breaks. Maybe you intend like do crazy faces and then they break, but it can be silly and fun. It's another, you can use that staring contest. Like if two kids are fighting, hey, you do a staring contest with me. Or I bet you can't get me to break. And so you challenge them to kind of pull their attention away from the sibling fighting to you. It can be used in lots of different moments. And I love it because it's super small and quick and can help shift our brain from a stress tension place to a more open place. So, thank you so much for listening. The light in me sees the light in you. Be well. And before you go, I have that free gift for you, the guided audio pause and regroup, aka the rage break. This is me walking you through steps to shift out of that fight or flight response and all the tension in your body and shift the thoughts, and then regrouping so you can re-engage with your kiddo from a more calm and balanced place. You can find the audio in the links or at compassionateheartmindfullife.com. And I created it because it's exactly what I needed when I was struggling, and I still use these tools. So yeah, check it out and tell me what you think. I'd love to hear it. A reminder, this content is intended for educational purposes only and should not be used as a replacement for private psychotherapy services. Compassionate Heart Mindful Life does not provide psychotherapy services in any capacity. I am a therapist, but I'm not your therapist, and this is not therapy and should not be used as a substitute for mental health treatment. If you need mental health treatment, please find a qualified professional in your area. Thanks again for listening. Be well.